Last week, I chaired a hearing of the Oversight and Investigation Subcommittee on the mission of the EPA, and we had 4 former EPA administrators who served both under Democratic and Republican presidents, going all the way back to the Reagan administration, and all 4 of them expressed serious concerns about the mission of the EPA under the Trump administration. Governor Christine Todd Whitman, for example, who was the administrator under George W. Bush, testified that the EPA's current leadership is hostile to its own mission. She told us, quote, "By all accounts, industry has captured EPA's regulatory process. This is a disaster for the agency, the environment, and public health," end quote. The other administrators, all 3 of them, leveled similar criticism. So I want to ask you a couple of questions against that backdrop, Mr. Wyrum. Prior to your current tenure in the EPA's Air Office, you were an attorney in private practice, is that correct?
Correct.
And you provided legal services to a number of industrial companies and trade associations, is that correct?
Correct.
And so I've got here your financial disclosure report that you submitted, and according to this financial disclosure report, your previous clients included the American Petroleum Institute and the American Fuel and Petrochemical Manufacturers, is that correct?
Yes, and actually a
Thank you.
full
Now,
list of clients
excuse me,
is
sir.
in just my recusal.
No, excuse me, sir. So, Madam Chair, I would ask unanimous consent to submit Mr. Wyrum's public financial disclosure report for the record.
Without objection, so moved.
Thank you. Now, sir, since coming to the EPA, I'd like to ask you, have you met with the American Petroleum Institute?
Not that I recall.
And have you met with the American Fuel and Petrochemical Manufacturers to discuss fuel economy, greenhouse gas tailpipes standards, or any aspect of the safe vehicle rule?
Not that I recall, no.
Do you know if any member of your staff has met with either of these organizations?
It's possible.
Are you aware of it? Are you aware of it?
I am virtually certain that API and AFPM have been in on a range of issues, but when those requests come in, they get delegated. You know, I don't even see them because of my
So,
recusal.
you have not met with them. Is that your testimony today?
I don't recall having met with API or AFPM since I've been at
And,
EPA.
and can you please provide me with a list of the meetings and participants of the meetings those 2 organizations have had with your staff?
I'd be happy to take that request back to our congressional office.
So
Yes.
will you provide me with the list, yes or no?
Well, as I said, I'd be happy to take that back to the congressional office.
So you're not committing that you will tell me who your agency is meeting with from the American Petroleum Institute or American Fuel and Petrochemical Manufacturers. Is that correct?
My calendar, and I believe the calendar of my political staff, are a matter of public record, so.
So therefore, you should be happy to provide me with a list of those meetings, right?
And
Since it's a public record.
Well, as I said, my congressional office, manages relations and manages requests.
So
like
you're
that, so I'd
not
be happy to
committing,
take it
is
back.
would that be a fair statement?
I'm
You
committing
can
to
say
take it
yes
back
or
to
no
my-
to that.
I'm committing to take it back to my congressional office.
Right, so I just want to say, this is the problem we're having with your agency every day, is a lack of cooperation, a lack of documents, a lack of disclosure, and this will not be allowed to continue. I just want to tell you that right now, and you can take that back to your congressional office also. Now, I want to ask you, given what these bipartisan commissioners said, administrators said, and given what you have just told me today, refusing to even tell me whether your staff has met with the American Petroleum Institute or the American Fuel and Petrochemical Manufacturers, why the American people should have any confidence in your leadership at the EPA.
Oh, I think the American people should have great confidence in what we're doing. The American people elected President Trump. President Trump appointed me to this position, and the Senate confirmed me to this position. And every single day I come to work, I work as hard as I possibly can to meet the laws that have been assigned to us to implement by the U.S. Congress, and to do it in the most robust, fairest, fullest, and public way. And in response to the questions that I got from Congressman Shimkus, I explained that virtually everything we do is through a very open process. of
Apparently
notice and
not so
comment
open that you
rulemaking.
have to work with
And-
Congress. I yield back the balance of my time.
And I would just recommend on your.
No, I now recognize Mr. Walden.